Albedo or Eula? This question has been asked quite a lot of times since the 2.3 banner has been released. Welcome to my video everybody, my name is Arafiel and I'm here to guide you through the process of deciding for which character to pull. I hope this video helps you, so let's dive right into it. So why should you be pulling for Eula as a main damage dealer? Well, right off the bat I can think of 3 reasons. Eula is a physical damage dealer, meaning she will deal damage to the enemy through her auto attacks. To make this more visible, I remove the weapon and the artifacts of Eula to make it more clear. The first reason is Eula can enhance her damage output to the enemy through the use of her elemental skill. First by tapping it to gain a stack and then holding it to consume that stack to deal more damage. As an example, Eula deals roughly 100 damage with the first 2 attacks. So let's tap it, get a stack, then hold it to consume that stack and reduce the physical resistance of the enemy. Now she will deal more damage for 7 seconds to that enemy, as you can see by those numbers. So the second reason is you can reduce the enemy's physical resistance by using the elemental reaction called Superconduct. Superconduct occurs when an enemy is infused with cryo and then hit with electro or vice versa. Since every player possesses Lisa as a free-to-play character, as you can see, Lisa doesn't have any important sets or artifacts as well, but Lisa infuses the enemy with electro through her auto attacks. So what you can do is you can use Superconduct to deal more damage through Eula's auto attacks. For that regard, Lisa auto attacks once, enemy has electro debuff, Eula uses her Superconduct, and let's see, the damage has increased a bit. So, just as displayed before, Eula can reduce the physical resistance of the enemy for 7 seconds through use of her elemental skill, and Lisa can reduce the physical resistance of the enemy for roughly 12 seconds using the reaction Superconduct, which Eula can trigger. We are able to combine these 2 effects using it like this, for example. First of all, Eula will start infusing the enemy with cryo to get 1 stack. So tap the E, swap back to Lisa. Let's dodge first so we can attack. As you can see, there's a cryo debuff, Superconduct, then hold Eula's E and then attack. As you can see, the numbers have increased quite a bit. So, since we know how Eula can reduce the physical resistance of enemies through her elemental skill, and we can also make use of the Superconduct reaction through Lisa's help to combine and deal even more damage, now we can increase Eula's damage output by simply equipping Lisa with a kind of free-to-play weapon. This is called The Thrilling Tales of the Dragon Slayers. It's a 3-star book, which everybody will have by now, and you can refine it to rank 5. This book, if we swap from Lisa to Eula, will increase Eula's attack for 48% for 10 seconds. Let's see how that plays out. First of all, we start with Eula's E again, so she has 1 stack. Then we swap to Lisa, Superconduct, then we hold, and let's attack. 455 and 474 damage. Not bad. But wait, there is more. Eula can collect up to 2 stacks using her elemental skill. If you consume 2 skills after that by holding her elemental skill, Eula will deal extra physical damage. Let's see how that number will play out. First of all, with just Eula's skill usage, so you can see the damage output. We have 1 stack, 2 stacks, And now check out what happens if I hold her E. The enemy gets 361 damage. Now, in order to combine that as well into the combo, we simply have to just let Eula have 2 stacks before swapping to Lisa and back to Eula this time. So, nothing major. We have our first stack, then our second stack, then to Lisa, back to Eula, and cause the reaction. As you can see, 931 damage. So in conclusion, every player has a Lisa. Every player will pretty much have this book to equip Lisa with, to buff Eula's damage output. And pretty much every player will have access to the Snow-Tuned Star Silver weapon and the Prototype Archaic to equip Eula with. So if we swap to Lisa and back to Eula, she deals 145 and 151 damage. How much her burst skill will matter. And as you can see, so considering that easy combo and the great synergy Eula has with Lisa, you can enhance Eula's damage output immensely on pretty much any point on the map at will, which makes her a great main damage dealer in my opinion. But be warned though, playing Eula can also be quite frustrating, especially if your crit rate isn't high enough. Now, why does that matter? You will have to know that her burst takes a whopping 80 energy to fill up. Meaning that if you are able to use it, you hope to deal a lot of damage, which you will, because it's scaling greatly. But the downside is, if you do not crit while using it, it will get really frustrating. 2300 damage. Now that was no crit. So, in that example, if Eula's burst doesn't deal maximum damage, you can use Diona as a battery to charge Eula's elemental burst, especially with the use of the sacrificial bow. And it will be even better if it is at refinement rank 5, just as an example. Eula is considered to be a great support character, in my opinion, right after Bennett, because she can give your characters a shield. Now you can hold her E, and you can reuse it if you are lucky, which gives Eula quite some particles. And that's how I filled up Eula's burst immediately by 1/3, just by using that bow. Just as a side note, Eula will have a great synergy with Diona as well due to the elemental resonance. And I just see it's not triggered because it's bugged, I think. But if an enemy is frozen or affected by cryo, the crit rate will increase by 15%, which might help a lot for Eula to deal critical damage with her burst. So, artifacts. Everyone knows farming artifacts is a pain. It's annoying, it's frustrating, and you will most of the time not get the stats you are looking for, especially set-wise. But that's a problem pretty much any character in Genshin Impact faces. But most of the time it seems to happening to characters who need critical damage and critical rate. So keep that in mind when you're trying to farm artifacts for Eula. I personally recommend having Pale Flame 2 times and the Bloodstained Chivalry. So how should you be using Albedo? In my opinion, Albedo is the complete opposite of Eula, because Albedo fits in any team, providing extra damage to other characters. He can cast his elemental skill on the ground, and then it will create an AoE field. Every enemy who is attacked in that field by any other of your characters will get an extra geo damage through Albedo. But that will happen only once every 1 to 2 seconds, as displayed here. That's why Albedo is a great support addition to your team, dealing and granting extra damage. So, now that you've seen how you can use Albedo as a support damage dealer, using his elemental skill only, what should you equip him with? Well, if we check out his elemental skill, it scales with defense %. Therefore, equip him with artifacts that give a defense % bonus are great. Meaning, you can recycle artifacts you weren't able to use so far. And let's be honest, we all collect more defense % artifacts than the ones we really want. Remember though that you can also use the new set revealed on the 2.3 patch stream of MiHoYo. Otherwise, I would also recommend using a 2 set piece of Archaic Petra at least to boost his geo damage bonus. Weapon wise, if you don't have any, the Harbinger of Dawn is the perfect fit for Albedo, since he will profit of all of its stats, since he is always off field pretty much. But keep here in mind that the 2.3 patch stream has also revealed a weapon called the Cinnabar Spindle, which is highly rumored to be a perfect fit for Albedo, so keep that in mind. Now there's one point or aspect to consider for both of these characters in the long term. Albedo's constellations do not look that compelling, to be honest, meaning he seems not to be getting that strong if he's collecting his constellations. As we can see, the first constellation gives him a higher energy recharge or energy regeneration. The second one gives him more damage for his burst, which I personally am not using since I'm more focused on his elemental skill. This is just a level increase. This one increases the plunging attack performed within the field of Albedo's elemental skill, which is, in my opinion, it's a downer. And this is a level increase as well. And this one increases the damage of characters in Albedo's field who have a shield. In my opinion, that's quite too specific, and it doesn't really increase Albedo's damage per se, in my opinion. So let's make a quick rundown of Eula's constellations for the long run. Eula's first constellation: if Eula taps her E, she will create a stack. If she afterwards then holds her E, she will consume those stacks, meaning with this first constellation, Eula's physical damage will be increased by 30% for 6 seconds up to 18 seconds. That is awesome. The second constellation: when Eula is holding her E, like we mentioned before, the cooldown is usually 10 seconds. After this constellation, it will be only 4 seconds cooldown. This is a level increase. Lightfall Sword: when Eula's burst hits an enemy who's below 50% HP, that damage will be increased by 25%, and that burst scales really good. That's a level increase. And here another burst buff: when Eula casts her elemental burst, she will immediately get 5 stacks. Afterwards, or during that burst, if she attacks, uses skills, she will have a 50% chance to grant an additional stack for that burst, which in the end will deal a lot of damage. So if we check all of these constellations, Eulas are on the long run by far much better. So, and here we are, everybody, the final conclusion. Albedo, he is very easy to use, fits into any team and adds damage. His passive playstyle makes it possible for him to use the Harbinger of Dawn. Also, we can finally use all those leftover defense % artifacts on him. He gets a new weapon, but we don't know if it'll fit him. But we surely know the new artifact set will greatly benefit Albedo. Contrary though, in my opinion, you have to choose between building Albedo for his elemental skill or elemental burst. And also, the worst part in my opinion, his constellations barely benefit Albedo himself on the long run. So in my opinion, get Albedo only one single time. On the other side, Eula, she is fun to play, deals lots of damage and has great synergy with a lot of 4-star characters like Diona and Lisa. The 3 4-star weapons we have so far, like the Snow Tomb Star Silver or the prototype Archaic, fit her nicely. And the best part for Eula, her constellations make her really, really strong. So in the long run, you should really consider getting Eula. The worst part though, farming artifacts is a pain, since getting crit rate and crit damage is really difficult. And what makes it worse is Eula is really crit dependent for her burst. If that burst goes off and it doesn't crit, it will get very frustrating. She is moderately easy to play, has a small learning curve, and she is an active playstyle character, meaning if she gets on the field, she'll stay there until all her skills go off. I hope this video helps you everybody, and see you next time.